All right, we're going to be on page 115. 115 in our grammar books today. Okay, let's see here. We're reviewing today conjunctions. You guys know about those. That's the fanboys. So it basically says on 115, it says a conjunction connects words or phrases or clauses. In this book, you have learned two types of conjunctions. Coordinating conjunction, that's the fanboys, and it connects the same type of words, phrases, or clauses. So here are the patterns for how it connects different parts of the sentence. So this big comma right here represents you do need commas for these reasons. If you have three things like A, B, and C, whether it's three verbs, three nouns, three adjectives, it doesn't matter. If you have three in a row, you do need commas there. And then if you have two main clauses, MC, CC, MC, remember when you have two main clauses, you do need a comma in between those two before the coordinating conjunction. These are the times you don't need commas. When you're listing only two things, two verbs or two adjectives or two nouns, or if you have a main clause and a second verb. So remember, if the second half of the sentence, we did that one pretty recently, if the second half of the sentence doesn't have a subject, then that's when you don't use a comma and it's just going to connect the second verb after that. We did a whole practice page on that. These are just the patterns for when you have fanboys connecting parts of the sentence. And then there's subordinating conjunction. This is the www.asia.b word here. There's a few extras besides those words, and they're all listed right here. We know the main ones, when, while, where, as, since, if, although, because. We know those. That's the Asia. And then there's a few extra here that says after, before, until, unless, whenever, whereas, couldn't read that for a second, whereas, and then than. And so these are the two patterns. Oh, here it comes, Jude. Let him in. These are the two patterns with the comma rules. So if you have an adverb clause, which is the Asia clause first, and then the main clause, you need a comma. If you have the main clause first, and then the adverb clause, no comma. So that's the pattern there. So this would be a good page to mark if you struggle with commas, and you're going to have a lot more to have to figure out now on the fix it column. But I would put a post-it here for conjunctions and commas on this page if you need to refer back to this as you're doing your homework. So, hey Jude, I see you're coming in. We're on page 115 in the grammar book here. So we're going to do this practice together. It says fill in the blanks with conjunctions and add commas where needed. So we're going to have to figure out what word to put in here and whether or not it needs a comma around it. So let's look at the first one. I'll have Kylie just read. Obviously, if it says CC, that's going to be a fanboys word. And if it has WWW, it's going to be one of these words here under this list. Hey, Jude. Good morning.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. We're on page 115 here. All right. So yeah, Kylie, if you could read that first one, and then you can come up with whatever fanboy word you think would fit in that sentence.
Okay. The cubs chatted, grumbled about Mowgli's place in the pack. And
Yeah, and I think that works good there. And since we're only listing two things, chatted and grumbled, we don't need a comma for that one. The next one is for Aubrey. If you could do the next one. That one's going to require one of these words from this list over here.
He will die in the winter rains if he stays.
If he stays, okay, good. And that one does not need a comma as well because you don't need one in that one. with the WWW word, the Asia, it's because it's a main clause first and then the adverb clause, so no comma on that one. The next one is for Ian. Go ahead and do this one. So you'll pick a WWW word. That's a weird sentence, by the way.
We are protected by our fur. Mowgli has no fur.
Yeah, it's a weird sentence. So you need to pick one of the WWW words to plug in that blank. One of the, well,
Since
there's a better one. Because you're talking about how he's talking about how they are protected by fur, but Mowgli doesn't have any fur, so we need a word to kind of contrast. So I would say either although or while. Either one of those would work. Like, although we are protected by our fur, Mowgli has no fur. So see how it's kind of making you contrast those two? Yeah. So although or while. What was that, Kylie?
That's what I was going to say.
Although.
I had my hand up.
And then since this is the adverb clause first and then the main clause, we're going to put a comma after fur because the pattern is if the adverb clause comes first up here. Oh, let me turn this light off. If the adverb clause comes first and then the main clause, that's when we need a comma. So since we have the adverb clause here, comma, main clause after that. Okay, let's try the next one. Matt, go ahead and read this one.
He will freeze in the winter, scorch under the summer sun.
What fanboy's word would fit there?
And
And I would say either and or. Either one would work there. And since it's just connecting two things, we don't need a comma in that one. So Alex, what about the next one?
He is weak. We should not fear him.
Mm-hmm.
He is weak, so we should not fear him.
I agree. That's a good one. And since this is connecting two main clauses, he is weak. We have a subject verb pair there, and we have a subject verb pair here. We should not fear him. You do need a comma. So, and that's going to go after the first main clause. So he is weak, comma, so we should not fear him since it's two main clauses. All right, the next one, how about Jude?
Would if work?
Let him run with us if he is harmless, maybe. There's a better one though. It's telling why he is.
As he's harmless?
Yeah, maybe as I was thinking because too.
Okay.
Weak because we should not, oh no, wait, sorry. Let him run with us because he is harmless. It's kind of telling why they're letting him run with them because he is harmless. I think that probably fits the best there. And we don't need a comma on that one because the main clause is let him run with us, and then we have an adverb clause. So if it's main clause and then adverb clause up here, no comma for that. Next one, Kylie, do the next one.
Oh,
Kind of the same sentence, actually.
or
Yeah, you could use for there, or because.
times. Let him run with us, for he cannot hurt us.
Yes, it sounds like we're What are we? British? Yes, for. Actually, because wouldn't work there because it's not as a coordinating conjunction. Because is not a coordinating conjunction. So this one does require a comma because we have let him run with us. That's a main clause. And then we have for, and then he can't harm us because we have another subject verb pair on this side. We need to put a comma after us. All right. The last one, I'm going to have Aubrey do the last one.
Mowgli will run with us. We'll get the ball, and no one will be hurt.
Yes, good. And do we need commas on this one?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes, the answer is yes, because he's doing three things, right? Mowgli will run with us, comma, will get the bowl, comma, and no one will be hurt. So it's listing three things, three verbs. So yes, we need to add two commas here with the word and. Okay, good job. Let's go on to the practice page. And Ian, I'm going to have you read it this time.
Okay.
That first word is cowards.
Sorry, I was just.
Okay.
Cowards are ruled by a tiger. Must you obey this clumsy, overgrown cat who is no better than a bully? You could have shown courage and kindness.
Yeah, it's a weird one, huh? There's a lot of problems with this, but do you have your book in front of you too, Ian? You need to get your book because you got to work on this page too, okay? So the actual vocabulary word is clumsy. That just means awkward in movement or action. So like you're tripping a lot or you just run into things a lot. I don't know. I know a lot of clumsy friends. Check. And then we're going to start with a fix-it column here. I think we discovered that was a little bit easier possibly. So we've got some speaking parts in here. That's partly why it was a little weird to read.
What page are
Actually,
we on?
we're on page 117.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the entire thing is something that he's saying. So the actual quotation marks are going to go across the whole giant sentence here, but this is more than one sentence. That's the other thing we got to figure out. But go ahead and plug in those quotation marks here. Now that kind of helps us know he's talking. Okay. Capitals, we got that. We got to figure out where the end marks go. So I'm going to have Kylie, can you help us figure out where there's actually three end marks here that we need to plug in? Do you see where those go?
After tiger and the first line.
After tiger, and what kind of a mark do we need there?
Period.
Actually, it's a question. Are you ruled by a tiger? So that one's going to be a question. What else?
Sorry, my voice is going.
Oh, yeah, okay.
After bowling, it's a period.
It is a question mark again. This is new to us because normally it's a period because it's saying, must you obey this? It's like he's speaking like British, like you were saying earlier. Must you obey this clumsy, overgrown cat who is no better than a bully?
It's like Old English.
Old English, yeah. Or proper English. And then how about the last one? What kind of an end mark there?
It's a question. No, it's kidding. It's a period.
It's actually an exclamation mark.
Oh my.
You could have shown courage and kindness. That's a hard one because it doesn't sound like it's more. Usually we use exclamation mark when it's like, no way, watch out, or something like that. But I think it's like there's some drama happening here. So that's why it's an exclamation mark. Okay, so we got that. so now we can finish up our capitals now that we know where the end marks are. 3 capitals because we've got 3 sentences here. Commas we'll come back to. What about the apostrophe? Aubrey, where does the apostrophe go? Or there might be one that we take out.
Yeah, do you take out the one cowards?
Yes, that's right. That makes more sense because it's plural, cowards, not possessive pronoun there. And then there's one usage error. Right here, it was awkward for Ian to read this. Matt, do you know what this should be right here instead of? You could have shown courage.
Could have.
Yes, it is have. And when we say it quickly in English, it does sound like of, but the actual word is have. So you could have shown, you could say, it's almost like we say could have, but it really is could have. You're right about that. So got that. All right. Back to, oh, go ahead.
Hmm?
So, somebody was going to say something. Was that you, Kylie?
I was talking to myself. Sorry. I needed to
Oh,
mute
okay.
myself.
That's okay. Coordinating conjunction, Alex, where's that one at?
And
Good. And way over here. And then we've got, I'm going to jump down to prep the subject verb pairs. So Jude, let's look for some verbs. There's some action and helping and linking verbs in here.
Ruled.
Ruled is one, yeah.
Obey.
Yes.
Is.
Is, yes. There's a few more.
Could.
Could, yep.
Shown.
Yes. There is,
Courage.
no, not, that would be like an adjective, but there's 2 more that are like linking verbs in here.
Okay. Are.
Yes, are is one, and then there's one that goes with obey here. It's a helping verb
Must.
right here. Yeah, must. There you go. You got it. That's all of them. Good job. And then the subjects, Ian, what subjects go with each one of these verbs?
Coward.
This is one of those nouns of direct address. Remember how we used to talk about that? He's calling them cowards. So the subject here is actually you for are ruled by a tiger. So you is the subject here. How about this one, must obey?
You.
You again, good. And then inside this who clause,
Cat.
no, not the cat. So there's a who clause. Let's
who.
mark. Yeah, it's going to be who. The who clause goes all the way to bully. So let's mark that W/W. And then that is the subject who. And then there's one more subject at the end.
You again.
You again. Okay, good. All right, subject verb pairs. Remember, sometimes there's more verbs than subjects, so just keep that in mind. Kylie, do you see the prepositional phrases in there? They're a little different this time.
Yeah, sorry, I'm muted.
That's okay.
I'm on a phone and my fingers are big.
That's okay.
Is no better.
Not no better. No, not that one.
Have you have
That's going to be a verb. So it's not
okay.
going to be a verb.
Mm.
It's a little bit different.
Must.
No, that's a verb. So it's not going to have a verb in it. No verbs.
Buy.
Buy. So what's the phrase?
Buy a tiger.
Buy a tiger is one.
Than
Yes. And then what's the phrase?
a bully.
Yes, you got it. Good job. Very good. We already marked the who, which, and then we've got three main clauses. These are going to be all have subject verb pairs. So Matt, where do you see those main clauses? I'll give you a clue that it's not going to include cowards because that is the noun of direct address. So that stays separate.
Um, um, uh, must you obey this clumsy overgrown cat?
That's one. Yep. All the way to cat.
Um, you could shown courage and kindness.
Yep. At the very end. That's another one. Good.
Who is no better than a bully?
Now that's the who clause. So not that one.
Are you ruled by the
Yeah.
tigers?
There you go. You got it. Are you ruled by a tiger? Good. Those are the three main clauses. Now we have some commas. Now that we know where all the clauses are and everything, Alex, some commas we need to take out, some we need to put in. What do we need to do?
Do we put a comma after cowards?
Yes, there goes a comma right here after the noun of direct address. That's right. That's one.
The one after clumsy,
Yep, one after clumsy. Good.
and take out the one after courage.
Take out the one after courage, and there's one more we need to put in.
After overgrown.
After cat, actually.
Oh,
Right before the who clause. So this is after the main clause, before the who clause. This one, by the way, clumsy and overgrown, these are called coordinate adjectives. They're from the same category. Remember dosa scomp that we learned about a while back? So that's why that comma goes here, because you have two adjectives from the same category. Clumsy and overgrown are both opinions, even though you may think they're facts. Okay, that's it. Any questions about any of that we just did? It's a tough one. All right. So remember, jump around on the list if it helps you. And so we're done with grammar then for today. If nobody has any questions, we're going to move on. Okay. Some of you were able to finish the paper this week about the person of history. Some of you are still working on that. So I just want to check in with you guys on that. Basically, what you are doing is writing a biography. Let me turn off my. Okay, it's off. A biography is basically like a document or a paper that has facts about a real person. And whenever you write a biography, it's really important that the facts flow. So some of you are having trouble with gathering those facts from the articles that you have and then piecing them together so that it makes sense. I did look at your homework, the ones that did turn it in, and I made some notes on everybody's homework. So make sure you go back and read that. For instance, if you're talking about their early life and maybe how many siblings they have, and then all of a sudden you're talking about how they married somebody, it's kind of a quick jump to talk about when they were kids to when they get married. So you have to think logically about that when you're writing about a person. There's some filler information that you need in between to kind of explain a little bit of how they went through school or what they did in their early life, and then how they met the person they married is important to include in there so that it flows. Does that make sense to you guys? Give me a thumbs up if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, good. Some of you are still struggling with how do I get all these random facts to flow? If you think about a person's life from beginning to either where they are now, well, this you're writing about a person in history, so obviously from beginning to end of their life because they're already gone. It's really important to think of a timeline when you're telling the information. and to really try really hard not to just jump into new names or new places without giving a transition in between those things. So on your Google Docs, I made lots of notes about that. If you guys need help with that, fixing those things, please let me know in the comments of the Google Doc or have your parent message me, because I can do a private Zoom with you if you need it. I'm okay with that because that is really important for me to help you and make sure that you understand how to take facts and make it make sense in a logical, chronological order. You can try it on your own. If you still are struggling with it, please let me know because I want to help you with that. So I just want to make sure to say that. Um, Oh, yeah, and another thing to keep in mind when you're writing a biography, you're gonna just pretend the person reading it, that your paper has no idea who it is. Like keep it really simple and explain as much as you can because sometimes I think students think, well, my teacher already knows about George Washington or whatever, but it's true, I know about him, but still pretend like I don't. Okay? Make sure you include all the little details about um, the progression of their lives. All right. If you did not get a 10 out of 10 on your paper, on your homework, there's a reason. So please look at my notes, go back on your document, check. I highlighted stuff, I made suggestions, check all that, and then fix it and turn it back in for a higher score. Okay. I'm not saying your papers were bad, so don't feel bad, okay? They're good, but they just are missing a little bit. So that's why I really want you to go back and check that and fix those things. All right, moving on. Does anybody have any questions about anything I just said about your paper?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. You
go
have
for
to
it.
mention if you're doing your mom or dad or something, do you have to mention when you're like born?
Do you have to mention what?
It's like when you were born, because I have two dads.
Oh, well, it depends on who you're writing about. If you're writing about your mom, you don't have to talk about when you were born. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Or like that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah. If you have two dads and if you want to include them both in your paper, you can. If you don't have to. But just we'll talk about that though. Keep that in mind because we'll talk about how we're gonna write this next paper here.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions about the historical person that you guys wrote about? Some of you did not do the biography part right. I mean, the bibliography. I always get those two words mixed up. A biography is a paper about a person. The bibliography is the sources that you used. So if I put a note on there that you didn't do it right, I recorded last week's meeting or class that walked you through the steps on how to build that bibliography. So make sure you go back and watch that. I really want you to learn how to do that. It's good to have that skill for your research papers. Questions? Anybody? All right. Everybody's quiet. We are going to move on to the next report or paper this week is going to be about a person that you know. So I want everybody in the chat to just put who you decided to write about. Somebody you know. It could be a family member. It could be they can still be alive. Obviously, they should still be alive because you know them right now. So pick somebody you know. It could be a teacher. It could be a leader in the church, a pastor, a missionary, somebody that you know in your life. It could even be a sibling, a brother or a sister, somebody in the military, somebody who's done something interesting or just is an interesting person in general. Go to the chat and tell me who you picked. If you haven't picked anybody yet, put I don't know in the chat.
What if you know about Elon Musk?
But you don't know him personally. This time it's about somebody you know.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So not a famous person per se. It could be, interesting people to write about is grandparents or great grandparents because when they were kids, life was so different for them. So they might be a good one to write about. If you don't know them super well, I'm going to give you a list of questions. You can actually interview that person. Call them up on the phone and say, "Hey, Grandpa, guess what? I'm doing a paper about you. I have some questions for you." And he'll probably be like, "Awesome. Okay, what do you want to know?" Because grandparents are cool like that. They most of the time, I should say, they like to talk about their lives. So a couple people don't know yet. Somebody's writing about their mom. Still waiting on a couple of you to put in the chat. If you don't know, just say, "I don't know." We'll talk about it till you pick somebody. Basically, oh, go ahead, Kylie.
In the chat right now, just letting you know.
Okay. Okay. So if you haven't decided yet, I just take a minute right now. It's okay to use some class time to think about it. Kind of go through your head and think about the people that you know. And try to think of somebody that you actually are fond of or that you look up to, or somebody who's maybe been an influence in your life. It could be a parent, like I said, a family member, could be even like a cousin or aunt or uncle, or it could be somebody in your church, maybe that has had an influence on your life, or somebody that's just maybe an interesting person. Maybe their job is interesting. Maybe they work at the prison, or they're a police officer or a firefighter or some kind of a detective or something like that, where they're interesting. They've got an interesting life. I still see people not sure. The goal is to pick somebody today. So let's see, how else can I help you? Could be a friend. Is there a question, Matt?
Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Okay. It's okay if you guys have a question.
I was just gonna say maybe I'll do my sister.
Your sister, Alex? She's like, "Wait a second." Wouldn't that be cool? You could write about Alex and Alex could write about Matt.
Matthew, what's interesting about my life?
Uh, you're interesting. I don't know.
I will say it might be easier to write about somebody older. So then, because what you're going to end up doing is picking topics about that person. Maybe, okay, here's some example topics. In fact, let's go ahead and get out. Oh, you have a question, Aubrey? Or are you frozen? She's frozen. Okay. She's frozen. Oh, there she is. Okay. Did you have your hand up? Okay. Go ahead and get out of the binder week 13. It's just 2 pages, has a checklist on it, and a piece of lined paper. I'll help you guys. Some of you are still like, "I have no idea." That's okay. We'll figure this out. Get out week 13 and a lined piece of paper. Actually, there's 4 pages to get out. I thought it was just 2, but there's 4. If you peeked at that checklist, don't worry. It is going to be a 5-paragraph report or paper, but we're going to just start with the first 3. But I'm going to help you pick somebody that is interesting and that you know about. So that's the nice thing. You don't have to do like a whole bunch of research and stuff. Whoops. Jude, I see your hand up, but I don't see you. Did you disappear?
No, for
Oh,
a
there you
second I
are.
thought there was only one page. I couldn't find.
Oh, you got it? You're good? Okay. So there should be, I think, 4. 141, 143, 145, and 147. As I'm talking here, I do want you to keep thinking about the people you know. You'll figure this out. What happened? Oh, okay. go ahead and look at this yellow page really quick with me first, though. You'll see we've got a 5-paragraph model here. This is called inventive writing. And you're going to notice there's an introduction and a conclusion. I'm sure you guys have used those before, but you have not used them yet in this class. This is the first assignment that has the introduction and the conclusion. And then the middle 3 paragraphs is the body of your paper. And actually, this is an example about a dog. So, okay, if you want to write about your dog or your cat, as long as you can think of some interesting things about your animal, you can do that if that helps you pick a subject better. Easier, I mean, or keep thinking of a person. It's up to you guys, okay? Think about the people you know, and if you have a particular pet that does things like this one, okay? So look at this is Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, 3, 4, and this is Roman numeral 5 because it's a 5-paragraph model. The 3 in the middle are the topics, and that's what you're going to start on this week is just the 3 middle paragraphs. So you're going to think of 3 different topics about either your person or your pet. And here we've got looks. So you're going to have to come up with 5 to 7 details. That's kind of a lot about the look of your animal. Here they are suggesting food, like what food they eat, and here they're suggesting tricks. If you choose a person, you would talk about basically their early life, especially if they're older, like a grandparent or a great-grandparent, or somebody you know at church that's older. You can talk about their early life and then maybe in the middle, maybe what school was like when they were young or what they did in their middle years. And maybe the last paragraph would be like their accomplishments or what did they achieve in their lives. Those are some ideas. We'll write those down in a minute. And then later next week, we're going to focus on the introduction and conclusion. So we're going to break this assignment up into 2 weeks. Okay. Let's do your line paper next. Let's take some notes here. Go ahead and put your name here. And today is the 11th, so it's 2/11/25. And we'll just skip a line and put person you know. And if you absolutely cannot think of a person that you know that's interesting, you can choose a pet as long as you have enough information about them. I don't want you to just put, my dog has brown hair, my dog has blue eyes, my dog has a long tail. Okay, we're not going for that type of an essay.
That's a bunch of very short sentences.
Yes, you guys are way beyond that. You're still going to use your checklist, by the way, which we're going to look at in a minute here. So I prefer you writing about a person because it's just more interesting that way. So over here, let's put people. Let's just start by making a list of people you know. All right, you know your mom, maybe your dad, any uncles, and write these down if you have these in your life, okay? Don't put uncle if you don't have any uncles in your life. And put their name. If you have an uncle that you're thinking of right now, it's like, oh yeah, he's pretty cool. Or my aunt, yeah, she's pretty cool. Put their name next to it. Maybe for me, I would probably write about my dad because my dad is old. He and my mom had me later in life. He's 92. So he remembers Pearl Harbor. He was alive during that time. He also served in the military in the Air Force and has a lot of interesting things to say about the Air Force. So for me, an older person is super interesting because life, like I said, life was so different when they were younger. Maybe a grandma or a grandpa, these are all family members. Maybe a teacher. Um, If you choose me, which I think I would be okay with that, you'd have to interview me because you don't know much about me yet as far as personal things, other than that I have a farm and I'm a teacher. But maybe you have another teacher that you've had longer, because sometimes you stick with a teacher for years and maybe you know them more. Or it's from church, somebody from church. Um, you could write about a brother or a sister. I'm okay with that. So everybody got at least 3 or 4 people in mind on your list. Give me a thumbs up if you have at least 3 or 4 people you've listed there. Okay. These are specific people. I'm kind of keeping mine generic, but
Are we recording this class?
yes, I'm
Okay,
recording it.
okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, if you need to go back later and look at it, yes, you can. All right, let's do the next category is going to be questions. And we're just going to list your big 6 questions. I always like to start with that. So who are you writing about? What, when, where, why, and how. And some examples could be like next to what are your hobbies? This is questions you can ask the person you're going to interview. If you don't automatically know enough about that person, you will need to ask them some questions. So if you pick your mom, which is cool because she's at home, it's not hard to find her. You know where she's at most of the time. You can ask her these questions like, what are your hobbies? What was life like as a kid? I'm just going to put life like as kid question mark. When did you blank? Like, when did you learn how to drive? When did you meet my dad? When did you go to school? When did you move to Bakersfield or wherever they moved to? Where did you used to live? Or where did you go to school? That's a good one. These are just examples, okay? Why did you blank? Why did you become a nurse? Why did you become a police officer? Why did you become a mom? I don't know. Example questions. There's a lot more questions you can come up with. Okay, here's some extra questions underneath here. What is the best part of your life so far? Maybe what is worst? I mean, you don't want to travel down, negative things in life, but sometimes it's those difficult parts of life that change your character, that help you become who you are. So even though it might be difficult to bring up the worst part about life or something bad that happened, it still is part of what builds character. If you don't want to ask that question, you don't have to, but I'm just trying to help you brainstorm of ways to get to know someone. Okay. I'm going to put here problems. Like, did you have any problems or solutions? Like, how did you solve those problems? Maybe if you're interviewing your mom, maybe when she was younger, she got into debt because, when you're young and you get a credit card for the first time, it's super fun to spend money. And then all of a sudden you get into debt, and that's a problem. How did she get out of debt? Or maybe it's your uncle. How did he get out of debt? Or how did he solve the problem of, I don't know, getting lost on a camping trip somewhere? Trying to help you brainstorm here. One more question. did this person impact you? If you need to interview someone and start asking some of these questions, write down their answers so you have them on paper. When you go to write your paper, your actual paper, you'll have your notes to go off of. Does anybody have any questions about what we're talking about right now? No questions. Okay. I know this is a different assignment. This is unique. Okay. Normally we're writing about an animal, a place, a thing, a person that is in history, a famous person. This is a little different because you got to think about somebody you know. Alex?
If it's like your mom, do you put their real name?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can say my mom, and then her name was born on blah, blah, blah. You can start with when they were born and where they grew up, maybe a little bit about their background, their early life. Speaking of, well, before I go into those topics, any other, well, if you were not sure a minute ago, do you guys know who you want to write about now? If you know, put it in the chat. If you're still like, I still don't know, put I still don't know in the chat. I need to know where you guys are at. Either put who you think you want to write about, or a couple of people you're thinking about writing about, or if you still haven't decided, you could put I still haven't decided. I'm hoping by the end of class, which is soon, 7 minutes, actually, you'll know. Okay, you're still going through some options, Matt, it looks like. Jude, you're still deciding. That's okay. Okay, so still deciding. Okay, you guys sound like you're getting closer, though, to deciding. Let's turn this note page over to the back here. Let's talk about some possible topics. Now, you're going to choose 3 of these for your, and I'm just going to put here, choose 3 for the 3 body paragraphs. I'm just going to do the paragraph simple. And when I say body, that's the 3 middle paragraphs. That's your homework for this week is just it's the 3 middle paragraphs. So if you're writing about an older person, one possible topic is their early life, their education. If you're writing about a young person, obviously there's not much to say about that yet. Hobbies, career, if they're working. Maybe their passion. Maybe your mom has a passion for sewing or cooking, or maybe she um, makes meals for people who are just coming out of surgery or had a baby or something like that. Or maybe they're passionate about animals and they rescue dogs or cats.
My mom, my mom wanted to be a nurse.
Oh, okay. That's cool. You can talk about maybe what,
Stopped that for
say that last part
her.
again.
She got pregnant with me and then she couldn't be a nurse.
Uh-oh. So she ended up being a mom, but I bet she's not sad about that part because, you're pretty amazing. So I'm sure she loves being.
No, she just has a different job.
Okay. Well, it changed for me too in my life because sometimes we think we want to do something and it changes until we kind of get settled in. Um, Achievements. Uh, Awards, if there's any awards, goals, dreams, kind of the same thing. All right. You get the idea. You're going to choose 3 of these. You might choose early life, maybe an education could kind of be combined, and hobbies and career. Those could be your 3 topics that you choose. Each one of those would become a paragraph. So be thinking of what you want to write about your person that you know, and go through these questions here, these question words, and try to find information that goes with the topic. So as soon as so I'm going to put here 1, choose person. 2, choose topics. And then you're going to choose 3 topics. And 3, interview to get info on topics. And then 4, write 3 body paragraphs. I know I'm writing quick there. Let me zoom in so you can see that better. These are the steps of what you're going to do. So you got to choose your person, choose your topics from up above here. You're going to interview that person to get info or information on those topics. And then you're going to write your 3 body paragraphs. Oh yeah. And use checklist. That's super important. Some of you are forgetting that step. That's where it gets tricky. This is where you're really practicing using those quality words and dress ups and sentence openers and topic clinchers and all that stuff. So your job this week, your goal is to choose your person, choose your 3 topics, interview, get information, write 3 body paragraphs, and use your checklist. Let's look at the checklist really quick. Are you guys done? Give me a thumbs up if you're done writing this. Good, okay. Like I said, it's 5 paragraphs, but you're only going to do 2, 3, and 4 this week. These are the 3 topics. Your paragraph 1 is going to be your introduction. Paragraph 5 is conclusion. I'm going to show you how to write those next week. Just do paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 this week. You still have your dress ups. You still have your openers. You still have your band words. Up here, you see a couple extra things, introduction and conclusion. You can ignore those for this week because we're going to talk about them next week. You're going to focus on your body paragraphs, topic clincher sentences. That's still going to happen in your body paragraphs. You don't have to do topic clincher in the introduction and conclusion, but we'll talk about that next week. Okay, body paragraphs 2, 3, and 4. Think about it. Think about who you want to write about. If you are super stuck and you literally cannot think of anybody, let me know, okay? Or ask your parent, like mom, dad, whoever's living with you, grandma, grandpa, say, I got to write a paper about somebody I know. What do you think? Who should I write about? And they'll probably say, write about me. Honestly, they'll probably say, just pick me. All right. Any last minute questions about what you guys are going to do this week? I'm hoping you guys know what to do. It's a totally different assignment. I hope you have fun with it. I hope you can think of somebody that's like done some interesting things in their lives and you can, and maybe you know of an uncle, like you're like, I kind of remember Uncle Bill being like in the army and something like that. Well, ask whoever they're related to in your family, your mom or your dad, or whoever they're related to find out about that person. They can help you with that. Okay, and don't forget to check your comments, my comments to you from last week's homework on your person of history. Okay. All right, you guys, everybody seems tired. Go get some coffee, some hot chocolate, something, something.
Mocha.
Mocha. You got your puppy. Puppies help all the time. That's a
I
good.
don't have a pet.
Well, you can, I don't know, do some jumping jacks. Sometimes.
Oh yeah, my brother's my pet. Just kidding.
Right. All right, that's it for today, you guys. Good job. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.